How many victims are actually from our own community versus like foreign national victims that
Most.
you may see? Okay.
Most. I mean, sometimes there's a foreign person, sure.
Yeah.
But I think that is a huge misconception. Like when they have ads, they're like, are you a victim of human trafficking? It's always of a foreign-looking person, right? Yeah, I think that people assume that trafficked people are from other countries and are going to like be wearing different clothes or special clothes to indicate that they are not from our country, and they are going to speak different languages and not look like us and not eat what we eat, which sometimes happens, sure. But most people that are trafficked are people that live here because that's where we are. Right? I mean, middle America is where we are snatching people up and putting them in trucks and taking them all over the country. They don't keep people anywhere long. They don't keep the victims anywhere long because then they build social supports. They know the town that they're in. They might be able to run or whatever. They might get more confident. So they're constantly moving them. So they might not be girls and women and boys from our community, but they are American. They are from California or Arizona or any neighboring cities. Most of the human trafficking victims are from America, in America.
Thank you for driving that point.
I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. I mean, and human trafficking isn't just sex, right? Like that's the big thing is people are so focused on the human trafficking being sex. But I actually had a client unrelated to this whole thing, just a regular, typical person, and bought a nail business in town. They bought a nail salon. And, you know, we're going to change hands, I don't know, October 1st, fine. Keys, all the things. Shows up at the guy's house with people. And he was like,
who are these people?
Who are these people? And they're like, these are your people. Like, my client was being dead serious. He's like, I don't know what to do. And now I have people at my house. Like, I need you to assist me. Like, who do I call?
Yeah.
He's like, I did not purchase humans. I didn't mean to purchase
God.
But it's so common or ingrained or like secretly understood that the person didn't even clarify that like with the business is coming humans. And there were just people. And so we called 911 and I was like, I don't know, but I know I can find the answer. I'm not embarrassed to look stupid. So I'm like, I don't know what to do in this scenario. I've never been here. I have a client that is saying he has 7 women at his house. And they worked at the nail salon. They were anywhere from 18 to 40 something.
Oh my goodness. Do you know what happened with that?
No.
Okay.
No, because my person was like, nope, I'm completely staying out of that. Like I did my due diligence and I helped, but like I don't want to look like I'm involved, so I'm just
That's
taking a step back.
Right.
But yeah, it's for construction, housekeeping. I mean, it's most trades you could find someone that's been trafficked. But typically it's people from our own community or a neighboring state. They're just people.
Yeah, hidden in plain sight.
I very often want to thank restaurants, TJ Maxx, the airport, when they have those stickers that say, are you a victim of human trafficking? Call this number. And they have it in multiple languages because very often they'll have it in one language. And even though most of the victims are American and speak English, not always. And so I usually go up to the manager. I'm like, hey, thanks for having that sticker in the bathroom. Like, I really appreciate that. I'm sure I look insane. That's fine. I still want to say what I have to say. And I think if more people were willing to look silly, and it's important to lots of people, this issue, but no one's really going out of their way to say, hey, I appreciate that sticker. Even though I'm not a victim of human trafficking, I appreciate that sticker. And I will choose this. I choose this store more than other stores, right? Why is it so difficult for a casino where lots of human trafficking occurs? Lots, whether it's with the housekeeping, in the kitchen, human trafficking for sex in the casino and hotel itself. Yeah. You're in Las Vegas to party and have a good time and you're going out and you look good. You don't really want to see a sticker of someone that looks scared. And I think that's why they don't put it out, because it's not fun time, party time.
Yeah, it's not sexy.
It's not sexy. Yes, that's a great point. It's not sexy. And that is what we are trying to sell, which is so interesting, especially in Las Vegas, that that opposing thought. It's not sexy. Everything is sexy, but nobody knows what breasts do. So it's like we have a lot of sex education. We have no sex education at the same time. Yeah.
I haven't seen them at TJ Maxx.
They're in every TJ Maxx bathroom.
What?
On
Where?
the bottom right corner in the bathroom. In the women's bathroom. I've never been to the men's bathroom, but in the women, I'll send you a picture. There was a couple times I even posted
I've never seen one.
on our social media, and I said, shout out to Las Vegas McCarran Airport for having...
McCarran Airport I've seen. And another controversy too, there's a few actually, but is like, does that language actually speak to a victim? Because do they know that they're a victim of human trafficking?
I think eventually they do.
Self-identify.
So I think it's where you are in that continuum. I think that's a great point. Yeah, so I think in the beginning, that doesn't apply to them. They're not going to call that number. But at some point, you're very aware you're in and can't get out. And I think that's when people call, when they're at the end of the rope, or maybe someone's coming for their child, or they just really feel like they have nowhere else to go. I think that's when they reach out. If someone tells you, who is very big, strong, and speaks the language of the country that you're in and you don't, that they're going to kill you if you tell anyone, I mean, yeah. I had a dad once that, this is an unpleasant story, so prepare yourself. But he was offending the home. But he wasn't offending with his own body. He was having the children perform sex acts on each other in front of him and filming it and uploading the child abuse material. I think it's important that we talk about, it's not child pornography. They're not consenting to engage in pornography. When you are watching child pornography, you are watching a child be abused. And that's why we call it child sexual abuse material or exploitative material, because that's what you're watching. He was creating this footage. One of the kids told somebody at school, he was very mad, very furious, obviously, because it's all going to crumble, right?
Yeah.
So he goes to the pet store and he buys them a kitten, and he brings all 7 kids outside, 6, 7, 8, I can't remember how many kids outside. The mom is outside. Sit on the wall. They have this cat. They love this kitty, right? They kept the cat for like a week, so bonded with it. And then he grilled the cat in front of them and said, if you tell another person, this will be you. So this child recanted. So if I hear one more person say, it didn't happen, they took it back, they recanted. People recant for lots of reasons that you have no idea about. Whether it's fear, embarrassment, shame, I just want this to stop. I've watched my mom cry for 7 months. Like, I made it up. It didn't happen. Okay, like now I'm putting pain on my mom, right? The way people are manipulated seems unbelievable. That seems like an unbelievable story.
Right.
But, I mean, this is my day job. This is what I hear all day. That child recanted, and the case is closed. And very often, even now, detectives will say, that girl has accused everybody. What are the odds that she was abused by her teacher and dad and uncle? Saying this to me, a clinician. And I'm like, very high, because once you've been offended, your rate of being a victim goes up and up and up and up over and over and over. So very high possibility. Very high. Or she recanted, so we closed it. Why? She got scared. The dad said he was going to kill the cat. I mean, there's lots of reasons.
Yeah.
So someone just recanting is not evidence that something did not occur.
And what about the mom? Was she just scared? Was she also abused?
Let me think about this mom. She was abusing substances that I think the dad, if I'm remembering this case correctly, the dad was providing substances to her and then was retracting them. So she was withdrawing and going through detox symptoms. Again, not okay, not condoning it, but do I understand it? Yes. Right? I think this is the case where she said she didn't want to go to treatment because then she knew he would be alone with them. So it's that kind of like, what do you choose, right? All of us who are in the audience are like, I would ask my mom to watch my kids, or I would put them in child haven, or, whatever, in the orphanage. Everyone has got all these answers, but until that's you, until you were a kid that grew up in the foster system and then was abused in the foster system, you're not very likely to put your child in the foster system, right? So all of these options that people offer, just give them to your mom, give them to your brother, they may not have a mom or a brother, or the mom and brother may be more inappropriate. And so sometimes people don't have any working options, and they choose what in their mind is the least painful. They choose what is the most appropriate.
They just do the best that they can at that time, I guess, right?
I mean, it's really easy to villainize people, and I 100% understand that. I get it. But once you really are sitting with these people in a room, learning and listening and just hearing what their life is like, I mean, very often I think to myself, I don't know what I would do. I mean, I really don't.
Yeah. Because you sharing this story, I automatically think like, oh my gosh, this dad is a monster.
Sure.
Right? But that's somebody that you would typically treat.
Yeah. Yep.
And then you would find out his story.
When we get students, we are partnered with universities, so we get students for a year at a time. People do their internships with us. Very often people are like, I could never do this work. It's terrible. And I'm like, just see, don't talk, just observe, listen to these stories. So in part of treatment is we hear their own histories. And a lot of people say like, oh, they're using those as an excuse to keep doing what they want to do. Sometimes that is true. But very often I am working with the client. They are telling me their life history and they're trying to make it nice for me. They're like, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, we lived in a car for a while, and they're not using it as like, my dad did this to me and that's why I did it. I mean, sometimes, but very often they're still using their own thinking errors to make what happened to them okay. So we do what's called a cycle. So the person who's been convicted talks about their thoughts, feelings, triggers, things that happened before the offense, why the offense committed, how they felt after, right? So we go over life history in order to create that document. And very often I'll say, were you abused? No. Okay, tell me about your first sexual experience. Oh, I was 14. Oh, and that neighbor, she was 35. She was looking so good. And I'm like, whoa. She was 35 and you were 14? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Player, man up. And I said, okay, rewind. If a 35-year-old man has sex with a 14-year-old girl, is that a crime? Yes, that's a crime. And I'm just like, they're so deep into their own denial about their life. So then we'll walk back even further. Okay, how did you know this 14-year-old? When you were 14, how did you know this 35-year-old? Oh, well, because we were living at a truck stop, and so for money, they're just telling these stories, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like,
but that was their normal.
But
they didn't.
That is less bothersome than the cat, right? So like what they're doing is in their mind less than what has occurred with them. But they're not even using it as an excuse. Like it's almost like they've made it part of their story where they can't acknowledge that they were also a victim. They use any thinking error they can to make themselves still feel like the man, right? They never want to not feel like they can take care of themselves and the man. They've always been the man, even when they were 5, right? They take care of themselves. They're not a victim. But then as we walk it back, they're like, yeah, you asked me if I was sexually abused, and I know I said no, but I was thinking about this. Do you think it's abuse that my dad was having me dub tapes? Do you remember dubbing tapes? Mm-hmm. You would take one VHS and transfer it to another VHS, but you played on the TV to do it, right? You had to have it on. Do you think it's abuse that my dad had me dubbing his sex tapes of all his girlfriends? I'm like, how old were you? I don't know. I think I was in 6th grade. I'm like, 6? I mean, it takes a year for them to even acknowledge that was an offense against them. That being asked, forced, even offered to watch your parents' sex videos, it's abuse. Or, I never really thought I was abused. But now that I've been in class, I've been thinking about it. Do you think it's abuse that my parents used to have sex in the bed that we all slept in? What? Yeah, because I was thinking about that because I was talking to so-and-so from group, right? Because they start getting to know each other and, making relationships. And he said his parents never had sex in his bed. And then I thought that was weird. And then I realized I've never asked anybody. And I was like, okay, let's just walk it back a little, right? I mean, and we're really, my staff and I really am proud of us very often for just, there's no face, there's no judgment, there's no like, what? That's a ridiculous way to look at this scenario. You think you were 5 having sex with a 20-year-old? Like, you were the man at 5, we do a really great job of letting them have their opinion, story, because you don't want to wreck someone's version of themselves all at once, right? It's crushing. So then we'll say like, well, have we considered blah, 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 and then just let them come to the conclusion on their own, because if you tell someone they're a victim, they don't like it. No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm strong. It's like, well, you can be strong and a victim. No. So letting people come to their own opinion about their life histories takes a lot of patience and a lot of time.